You're talking about the case in spiritual direction where you have a person who uh, has great difficulty to forgive. Is that correct?
That's correct because of past deep-seated hurts at some point in life, no matter what the source was. But it's acting like a roadblock with them, and they can't really move past that. And you could just see it in their demeanor and trying to walk them through that without, you know, how do we do that? Because you could tell their emotions are so deeply seated in this.
Yes. Of course, I take for granted that the person is seeking help. It's not just meeting you and chatting. The person came for a certain purpose, for help. At least there is a little openness in this direction. Are we okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, First and foremost, in the case of as you said, holding grudge and not forgiving and so forth, it is important to. I mean, it's common in psychology, but of course we are in the spiritual life area. Forgiving is important for many reasons, and I'm saying this for you, not to say it immediately to the person, but for you to understand that for us, because we are dealing with our spiritual life first, and then also for our brothers and sisters, forgiving is fundamental. But forgiving is not, as you are saying, is not easy. I would even dare to say that forgiving is simply impossible. Impossible to our forces, no? Exactly like the apostle said to the Lord, "Who can be saved?" Then he said, "That's not possible for us, but it's possible for God." But to know that this is it, the liberation here is needed. The person needs to be liberated from this trap of being hurt, and as a consequence, not being able to forgive. Now, and I talk from experience, not my only personal experience, but also in spiritual direction. Um, I remember very well many years ago, I had a person asking for help. I don't know, it was maybe in 98, 99. And the person wouldn't accept at all to forgive. You know, it breaks your heart because the person who doesn't want to forgive, I'm not saying the person can't. There's a difference between can't and doesn't want. I will explain that. I will develop that. But it breaks your heart because you know that the person is stuck. The person is in a very bad position, uh, and this is uh, threatening the person's spiritual life. This information I'm giving you now is for you. You don't say it as it is to the person because you complicate the case. On the contrary, your mission is to act in a way to remove the thorns, gently to try to remove the thorns instead of showing the thorns, moving the thorns inside of the wound, etc. Your job is very delicate, so the way you operate needs to be always very delicate, very respectful. You can't bombard in spiritual direction. You can't bombard the person in front of you with the truth. Uh, God doesn't do that to us. God is the truth. And when we deal with him, he doesn't come like a bulldozer and squashes us. He can do that, but he never does that. He adapts his being to our capacity. And the more we grow, the more then the truth grows and he changes us. John Henry Newman, Saint John Henry Newman, talks about the fact that God in the Old Testament covers himself, hides himself, and progressively throughout the centuries and the history, he reveals himself. He removes the veil step by step. And this applies to us, to the journey of each one of us. God doesn't show all his light. It would be simply unbearable for us to bear. So as a fundamental rule in spiritual direction, you are, I would say, between God and the person. You are trying to accommodate, to bring together two extremes, God himself on one hand and the person. So you can't bombard the person, you have to adapt. Now, but where are we going? We are trying to remove the thorns. Now, in the case of forgiveness, and the case similar to what you're saying, I think it's very important to underline exactly what God expects from this person. Very often, and I'm talking here specifically about forgiveness, so it's a general topic, but of course you will find it in spiritual direction all the time, in our life and in the life of our brothers and sisters. We often confuse forgiving and the capacity of forgiving. We think that the gospel is asking us not only to forgive, but is asking us to have the capacity to forgive. While in fact, the gospel, Jesus knows very well that we cannot forgive. We would like to forgive. We receive the capacity to forgive from God. So when you explain this, you remove sometimes, not often, but sometimes you remove a mountain from the shoulder of your brother or sister. God is not asking you to forgive. God is asking you the willingness to forgive. And then you transform the willingness into a prayer. God, I can't forgive, but I'm willing to forgive because I know this is your will. So please give me your help. Heal my heart first. Free my heart from this suffering, this bitterness, this poison, this paralysis, this hurt, this wound. And then give me the forgiveness that you want me to give to this person. So what is at stake here? It's not, okay, I will forgive. No, I have the willingness to forgive. I'm open to give forgiveness, but I can't. And there is no shame into saying I can't, because that's the reality of human being. We cannot forgive. We don't have the capacity. We receive the capacity. This is why we say we forgive as you forgive. As, which means it came before. We are forgiven people. The people of God are forgiven people. The new people of God, us, the faithful, the baptized, are forgiven people. This is why it is important to experience the forgiveness of God. It is important to receive before giving. You cannot ask people, give me, or give to God. No, God is giving you. God loves you, you see. So it is important, I think, to underline this aspect to the person. How God understands the suffering of this person, how God understands the paralysis, the bitterness, the wound of this person, and how God would like to heal this person, relieve this person. And what he's asking this person is the openness, the willingness to say, okay, Lord, I can't forgive. I know it's your will. Heal me. Sorry, I'm repeating myself again. And give me, enable me. Give me the capacity to forgive. Give me this gift that you want me to give to this person of forgiveness. Yeah. And I would like to add something. Another problem. So the confusion comes from mixing being capable of forgiving and willing. These are two different things. So you need to distinguish them. Another point, some people say or think that if they forgive, it means that they agree with the evil that was done to them. If I forgive, it means that I accept to be weak, I accept to have been harmed. Not at all. Not at all. Forgiving is a position of strength, but it's not a position of lies or being untruthful. No, I have been harmed. That was wrong. And it doesn't mean that I'm ready to receive more harm from the person. You see? No. People think that forgiving means you need to really forget about it. Yes, you forget about it like you are not holding it. But you can be prudent after that. If you know that this person can harm, you don't expose yourself, you know. Otherwise, it's masochistic behavior. No, prudence, avoid. It's not because Jesus said, give your other cheek, that you have to be like, okay, give me all the, beat me as much as you want. No, no, no. You see? So these are other elements also that one needs maybe to check with the person, but very, very gently. You proceed very gently. You ask the person, you try to understand what happened. Since the person came to see you, it means that the person has a minimum of openness, a minimum of, the person is manifesting that he or she needs some help. So this is from where you will enter. But please, it's very important. You need to do it very, very gently. One thing is when you preach, and one thing is when you offer spiritual direction. When you preach, you can bang a little bit, but in spiritual direction, you cannot bang. When you preach, you can bang a little bit, but when you are offering confession, in the case of priests, of course, you cannot. You have to operate in a completely different way. You see. Why? Because you have a human being in front of you, and that's not God's ways. God is not. I mean, people say, "Oh, yeah, but look at Jesus when he entered in the temple. He used the
Whips.
The whips. Yeah, thank you. The whips and so forth. So, oh, I need to do that. He did it only once. So, and he's God. So, leave that aside. You're not God, and you don't know when to do it and how to do it. So he didn't do it every day. He just did it once, and it had its purpose. So don't play with that, you see. So I don't know. Have I answered a little bit your question?
Oh, yeah, that was very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So you see, that's very good. This is a question that involves everything. It involves the gospel, forgiveness, which is central. I would have a pity. I suffered a lot that day when this lady, she didn't want to forgive. I begged her. I said, I don't want you to forgive, but just accept the idea that God wants you to forgive, and he will give you the capacity to forgive. You don't have to carry this. It was no for a while. I suffered. Why? Because I knew that she is in danger. A person who cannot forgive, or rather doesn't want to forgive, is not open to the idea that God can help, doesn't know that God is supposed to help. People think that they have to produce the forgiveness. That's the tragic thing when we read the gospel. They are in danger. Your brother is in danger. Your sister is in danger when they are stuck because of that. And this is a huge learning curve. Origen, one of the fathers of the church, says that sometimes we start to be Christian at this moment when we forgive. He was commenting to our father. There are opposite opinions, so don't think that this is the only one opinion in the church. No. We have other opinions who say something else. So it's just one opinion. So Origen says, when he's commenting to our father, he says, we start to be Christians when we forgive. We learn to forgive in the divine way, when we are hurt. You see, so it is a divine thing. God is elevating us to his level by saying, okay, now I want you to forgive, I will give you, I will heal you, and you'll do it. Okay, so yes, thank you. That's it's a fundamental thing. And please remember, help your brothers to distinguish. God is not asking you to be capable of forgiving, but having the willingness, and you transform this willingness into a prayer.